It's been 16 years since Andy gave his toys to Bonnie and drove off to college. And yet, the fans, and seemingly Disney, still refuse to let Andy go. Toy Story Land is set in Andy's backyard. The toys they sell in the park still say Andy on the foot. Even the Skyliner, which opened after Toy Story 4 came out, calls them Andy's toys. While I never really thought much of Bonnie one way or another, for the better half of a decade, a lot of fans have straight up treated her like a villain for just losing interest in Woody. But Toy Story 5 did something I hadn't expected. It actually made me really care about Bonnie, which means that now I'm here to defend her honor from the internet.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Back in 2010, everyone assumed that Toy Story 3 would be the final movie in the Toy Story franchise, since it was such a natural ending for the series. And for a while, that seemed like it would be the case, with Pixar opting to make a bunch of shorts still set in the world of Toy Story. What was neat about this approach was that they could use these shorter runtimes to keep the series around without having to do a whole new movie, and they could focus more on different characters, where each movie in the original Toy Story trilogy really had to focus on Woody. I think most people agreed that Pixar actually making Toy Story 4 was incredibly unnecessary given how perfect of a finale Toy Story 3 was, but the franchise was just way too lucrative for Disney to leave on cable or streaming. Toy Story 4 saw Woody reconnect with Bo Peep while out on the road, trying to protect a spork-turned-toy that Bonnie created on her first day at kindergarten and named Forky.
Bonnie made a friend in class.
Oh, she's already making friends.
No, she literally made a new friend.
So the idea that a kid can create a toy like what Bonnie does definitely tracks with what we already know of the Toy Story universe. But I'm really curious to know where the line is. A balloon can be a party decoration, but it can also be a toy. If a kid is playing with a balloon, does it come alive? Or does the kid have to draw a face on it with a Sharpie? Does the permanent marker ink somehow imbue the balloon with consciousness? Or is it just the power of childhood imagination? And what kind of existential crisis would a balloon turned into a toy have? Ah, perfect. I'm gonna name you Colin. Bonnie had been losing interest in Woody, with Forky and also Jessie taking favor over him. And at the end of Toy Story 4, Woody decides to stay with Bo Peep and help out lost toys out on the road, leaving Bonnie in the care of Jessie. A lot of fans have criticized Bonnie for losing interest in Woody and ultimately causing him to leave. But from a narrative perspective, Woody leaving was him being able to let go of control and find meaning outside of just having an owner, with the assurance that Bonnie would be just fine without him. That said, Woody's decision almost certainly would have been different if he felt like Bonnie still needed him. But what makes Bonnie so different from Andy? And why did Woody have a much stronger bond with Andy? Well, I think a lot of it comes down to their actual play styles. In all of the times we've seen Andy actually playing with his toys as a kid, he's stuck to traditional good guys versus bad guys stories, with Woody, Buzz, and Jessie being the heroes, while the Potato Heads, Ham, and Slinky Dog will usually serve as the villains. Woody is a cowboy and always plays a cowboy. Buzz is a space ranger and always plays a space ranger. Bonnie, on the other hand, is so much more eccentric, leading to some wildly imaginative and creative stories with lots of improv.
We're either in a cafe in Paris or a coffee shop in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure I just came back from the doctor with life-changing news.
We do a lot of improv here.
Andy would use Woody, Jessie, and Buzz as a team trying to take down bandits, while Bonnie would use her toy Triceratops as a baby reindeer and a kitty angel Christmas ornament as a terrifying dinosaur.
Terrifying Kitty-saurus! Oh no! She laid millions of eggs!
There's actually a Robot Chicken sketch where Andy's mom gets him a super abstract toy that's designed to be anything in an effort to encourage more imaginative play.
I am a Swedish creativity object designed in conjunction with free space theory, which encourages cognitive freedom. For instance, your cowboy concept restricts imaginative thinking, whereas I am conceptually neutral. Andy chooses what I am, not the manufacturer.
I am Pinko. You decide what I am. Okay? You're trash.
I agree that Andy would have had zero interest in a toy like that, but Bonnie? Oh, Bonnie would have been all over it. In Toy Story That Time Forgot, Trixie wishes that Bonnie would play with her as an actual dinosaur for once. The special's primary conflict revolves around Bonnie's friend Mason having a whole bunch of hyper-masculine Battlestar toys who haven't been played with yet and don't even know that they're toys.
Trixie, the Battlestars are not playing. They've never been played with. They don't even know they're toys.
Incredible, isn't it?
I remember one time the CinemaSins Twitter account had actually asked about this, and I responded letting them know about the special, which they clearly hadn't seen. I haven't been able to find that tweet, but that was pretty funny. Trixie has to let them know about the Toy Story universe's prime directive, which is that toys are supposed to be there for their kid, no matter what.
It's your kid who chooses what you're going to be. It could be a dinosaur, baby reindeer, or something you never even think of. It's about being there for your kid. It's about
surrender.
And Trixie returns home with a renewed appreciation for Bonnie's playstyle.
I'm Bonnie's dinosaur. And Bonnie's dinosaur gets to be everything.
We also don't really see Andy ever be sad or anxious outside of Woody being lost. And that's largely because Andy just isn't the focus of Toy Story. Part of the reason why Toy Story exists in the first place is because back in the 90s when the original movie was being made, a movie where the main characters were all toys was the perfect solution to the limitations of early CGI, which already looked somewhat plasticky, meaning that we definitely wouldn't want to spend too long with any of the human characters. And the one we do spend a little more time with is Sid, who's meant to be the scary antagonist anyways. But Andy was never much of a character. He was kind of meant to represent every kid. And the reason why we care about Andy is because the toys care about Andy. Andy's most important scene as a character, besides maybe the Strange Things montage in the first movie where he puts up posters and changes his bedding entirely despite moving in a week, seemingly just to mess with Woody's psyche, is the scene where he gives the toys to Bonnie, because it shows us that he does still love his childhood toys very much. They did their job perfectly, and now it's on to the next kid. I've seen a lot of fans hate on Bonnie for, quote, breaking Andy's promise because she lost Woody, which is complete nonsense. Bonnie had never met Andy before, and she definitely doesn't know that Woody has strong sentimental value to Andy. She also almost certainly isn't familiar with the Woody's Roundup TV show since that was canceled in like, what, the 60s? She was 4 years old in this scene, for Stinky Pete's sake. Being mad at Bonnie as a character for losing interest in Woody is completely absurd. That's a completely normal thing for any kid, especially since Andy also gave her a cowgirl doll, which, as far as Bonnie is concerned, is basically the same thing, but a girl. I think it's important to remember that Bonnie doesn't know that these toys are alive, nor that Woody is one of the main characters of our story. It's a lot like Lotso being jaded because Daisy's parents lost him and had him replaced. He's so angry about something that wasn't even Daisy's fault. She didn't even know that you had been replaced, much less that you were actually alive. How is any of this her fault, Lotso? Like, I genuinely don't understand what you wanted, Lotso. I really don't. Sure, it is kind of disappointing from a narrative perspective, especially considering how much Bonnie genuinely loved Woody in Toy Story 3, but it ended up being necessary from a storytelling perspective to give Woody a character arc in Toy Story 4. They tried having him go back with Bonnie and it just didn't really work. I feel like they could have gone with the toys versus tech angle back in 2019 and had that be Toy Story 4, but first of all, I don't think the problem was quite as prevalent in the mid to late 2010s as it's been since 2020, and second of all, as we'll get into, this story wouldn't have worked as well if it hadn't been Jessie primarily taking center stage. Toy Story 4's main story begins with Bonnie being really scared about going to kindergarten orientation. She wants to bring a toy with her, but her parents tell her that she can't. And this causes her to start crying. And I don't mean I'm a little kid and I didn't get what I want crying. Poor Bonnie is genuinely terrified and heartbroken. Like, her crying here is actually heart-wrenching. Unbeknownst to her, Woody stows away in her backpack to make sure that the day goes smoothly, and he inadvertently helps her create Forky. I didn't think much of this when I first saw Toy Story 4 back in 2019. I mean, Bonnie's just a normal kid, right? So I'm about to go into the plot synopsis of Toy Story 5. But because the movie is still in theaters as I'm making this, and I absolutely do not want to rely on bootleg footage, I figured, what better way to review a Toy Story movie than to make my own B-roll recreating scenes from the movie with actual toys? Only problem? I definitely can't afford to spend $150 on 4 different playsets. And that's with my cast member discount. So instead, I'm just getting this figurine set that has all the major toys we need. And tonight, the role of Bonnie will be played by Molly McGee, and the role of Blaze will be played by Hazel Wells. I'm genuinely so excited. This is gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. In Toy Story 5, Woody and Buzz aren't the main characters anymore. Andrew Stanton said that Woody wasn't even in their first draft, but that it didn't feel right to not have him there. I definitely agree, and the people absolutely want to see Woody and Buzz together again. But I like that they take on more of a supporting role in this. This is completely Jessie and Bonnie's story. Bonnie is now 8 years old, and the toys have been trying very hard to help her make some friends, but she's had absolutely no luck. Wait a minute, what happened to Mason from Toy Story that everyone forgot? Bonnie definitely had at least one friend. Okay, according to the trivia on the Toy Story wiki, there was actually a deleted scene saying that Mason was actually Bonnie's cousin. So even if they are good friends, he probably doesn't go to the same school as Bonnie, and she still needs to find her own friend group. But poor Bonnie is so shy and anxious that she can barely even bring herself to say hi to the twins who live next door. Mom, Dad, why won't anyone be my friend? And I mean, tell me that's not just the most heartbreaking thing you could ever hear from your kid. At this point, every kid on the block has gotten a tablet and is completely addicted to screen time. So Bonnie's parents get her one of the LilyPad tablets thinking that it will help her. LilyPad wastes no time adding Bonnie to a group chat with some of the kids from her dance class, and she quickly gets invited to a sleepover with them. Jessie is determined to tag along and make sure that these kids will be a good match for Bonnie. But when Bonnie shows up at the sleepover with Bullseye and Jessie in hand, the other kids are immediately weirded out that she brought toys with her, and she quickly asks her dad to take them back home with him to save face and avoid embarrassment. Jessie and Bullseye manage to escape the car, but in the process of trying to get back to the house that Bonnie is at, end up being found by an elderly couple. They see that Jessie still has Emily's old address written inside of her pant leg, or whatever that's called. I don't really know what that's called, honestly. But they take her back to that house, aka Emily's old house. Emily's old house is an absolutely gorgeous ranch property that's the current home of a young girl named Blaze. As Jessie points out, Blaze's very tidy room and the way she dresses and presents herself makes her seem like a teenager, but she's actually 9.5, only about a year and change older than Bonnie. When it was revealed that the main antagonist of Toy Story 5 would be a kid's tablet, everyone assumed that the movie would just be a harsh critique of kids being given too much screen time. And indeed, the movie does comment on how kids will sit on devices literally feet away from each other instead of actually interacting and playing together. But what the movie is really commenting on more than just the screen time is how kids today are forced to grow up way too fast for no reason. Even just compared to the internet I grew up with. I was born in 1997. There used to be spaces online that were meant just for kids. Most of those sites have either been shut down or have poor moderation and aren't safe places for kids to be. And even in spaces that are still meant for kids, like What the Pond is supposed to be, it can still pressure kids to act older than their actual age. But despite acting older than her age, Jessie notices that Blaze is still really silly and playful. Testing out her hunch, she's able to get Blaze to actually play with her toys instead of just having them out on display. And it's every bit as joyful and imaginative as any of Bonnie's playtimes. Blaze would be a perfect friend for Bonnie. Jessie and Bullseye not only need to make it back home, they need Bonnie to meet Blaze. Meanwhile, things have not been going well for Bonnie. Hey guys, I'm back. Good to see you, Woody. Thanks, Buzz. Jessie called me to come help. Where is she? Sleepover recon. She'll be back any minute. Hey, Woody. Why do you have a bald spot and a beer belly now? Yeah, the bald spot on my head makes sense, but I have no idea how I got a beer belly. They really should have just stuck to the one joke. Bonnie's back! How'd the sleepover go? Fine, I guess. Oh, she looks awful. What on earth happened to that sleepover? Also, where's Jessie? Well, the girls may have played hide and seek and forgotten to find Bonnie. It sounds like you're not very good at this. By the way, I love the bit of visual storytelling that when Bonnie is feeling really down, we'll see her wearing a big solid color hoodie in contrast to the outfits that she normally wears, which are very colorful and fun. But even though that sleepover was a complete disaster, Lilypad doubles down on trying to make Bonnie be friends with these kids. Bonnie just needs to play more games on the tablet with these kids and be in the group chat. Jessie's new friends, the outdated tech toys, Mr. Smartypants, Snappy, and Atlas, are able to connect and send a message from Blaze's account that says that she has Bonnie's toys. Why on earth would a toy like Smartypants, which is a toddler potty training toy, ever be connected to the internet? What possible purpose would there be for that?
I'm getting a video message! Snaps! Play it back! Ah, for sake!
Anyways, Woody and Buzz see the message drop in and fight to prevent Lilypad from deleting the message so that Bonnie will actually see it. But in the process, they actually spam the message to a bunch of people, including the group chat that Bonnie was in. So what do we call it when toys and or tech post messages posing as their owners? Would we call that toy fishing? Pull stringing? I got nothing. Also, I love this movie, but it would completely fall apart if the characters stopped and went, "Hey, wait a minute, I didn't say that." Or, "Why did you assume that I did that? I didn't do that." "Why'd you put her toys in the garage?" "Bonnie asked me to." "No, I didn't." Well, I don't think Lilypad texted me. I guess at least with Jessie and Bullseye ending up at Blaze's house, they really were taken to the old address that was written on Jessie's clothes. Bonnie confirms that the Jessie and Bullseye in the picture are indeed hers, and they drive to go get them. But on the way there, her friends see the message about the toys and make fun of her for it, calling her a baby. By the way, there's 4 people in this group chat, including Bonnie, but 3 of them reacted to the message, and we know that Bonnie didn't react to it, which means that the girl who sent the last message also reacted to her own message, which is extremely pathetic. These kids think Bonnie is a loser, but they're really the ones who are losers. But Bonnie is devastated, and she tells Blaze that she doesn't want the toys anymore. She's had this tablet for less than a week, and the pressure to socialize and fit in has completely broken her down. Bonnie is shown to consistently have a hard time connecting with her peers. Her toys bring her an immense amount of comfort and joy through her intense and fully sensory playtime with them. To Bonnie, they're not just toys. They truly are a form of creative expression and regulation in a world that can otherwise be loud, chaotic, and incredibly demanding. And I think when you examine it through this lens, it does also make Woody's decision to leave at the end of Toy Story 4 more questionable, since it's entirely possible that Bonnie could end up needing him again, and he's not there for her. But as Bo points out, toys go missing every day. Is Woody going missing the end of the world for Bonnie? No. But I do think there's a very strong chance that Bonnie has already had the urge to look around her house for Woody a couple of times. She has strong memories of him, and she must have just left him behind somewhere. There's a reason why kids on the autism spectrum often have a strong interest in their toys that carries on into adulthood. Having them around can be extremely comforting and grounding. This is exactly why she created Forky in Toy Story 4. Not having a toy at kindergarten put her in extreme emotional distress, and making Forky was her solution. Forky helped make her feel safe, and that's why it was so important to keep him safe, and Woody knew that. Toy Story 3 and 4 laid the groundwork for Bonnie's character being very strongly autism-coded, but Toy Story 5 absolutely cemented it as far as I'm concerned. And in doing so, has made Bonnie one of my all-time favorite Disney characters since Lilo. And you can't tell me that the filmmakers aren't implying that Bonnie and Blaze are on the spectrum when Jessie literally says, "Bonnie's not like other kids. She plays different." Blaze is creative and silly in a way that other kids don't really get, right? Well, yeah, because that's exactly how Bonnie is. Getting the tablet and being able to quickly start chatting with the girls from her dance class felt like a blessing, because it took a lot of the pressure off of her to fit in. After all, it's a lot easier to start interacting with the other kids over text, where you don't have to mask your behavior and mannerisms. But then you're stuck behind that mask in a desperate effort to fit in. And the moment you let the mask slip, you're punished for not fitting in. And once again, Bonnie feels completely ostracized and alone. Bonnie's experience in this movie pairs really beautifully with Jessie's character arc. As she feels like she's losing Bonnie, she worries that she'll end up reliving what happened with Emily all over again. And so much sooner. After being rejected by Bonnie, a devastated Jessie runs off to the tree with the tire swing that she and Emily used to play at long ago. And that's when she discovers something. Someone carved "Jessie was here" into the tree. But that wasn't something that she had done with Emily. She finds a lunchbox with a bunch of old stuff, but not old enough. It's not Emily's stuff. Emily named her daughter after me?
Oh, my heart! It's too full!
Lilypad feels horrible about what happened with Bonnie and throws herself onto a donation truck. But a reinvigorated Jessie is confident that all they need to do is get Bonnie and Blaze to meet and become friends. Even if Bonnie never plays with her again, for Jessie, them being friends would still make everything worth it. I haven't mentioned the wild Buzz Lightyear subplot yet in this video because it hasn't been relevant to the video, but I love that whole subplot. It's so great. And the reveal that they're all actually drones filled me with so much joy. Absolutely perfect callback to the original. I love it so much. I love how in-universe, the designers making the Buzz Lightyear toys have consistently just been making it the coolest toy on the planet that any kid would ever want. The only downside is, it means that if they do make a mostly movie-accurate version of those high-tech Buzz Lightyear toys, it would be something they could never sell at the theme parks, since they're actually drones. You'd have to get it at, like, Best Buy, and it would probably cost hundreds of dollars. And I would immediately buy one. Oh my god, I want one of those so bad. So they do some more, what did I call it, pull stringing, and are able to message Blaze on Bonnie's behalf and have her bring Jessie and Bullseye back to her house. Bonnie still has her guard up and insists once again that she doesn't play with toys anymore. I don't play with toys anymore. I played with her yesterday. But thankfully, Blaze's own authentic silliness convinces Bonnie to let her guard down. I like your boots. Thanks. I like your socks. Thanks. Do you like my beard? I'm 1 million years old, and that's why my beard is so long and lovely. And just as Jessie predicted, the two of them very quickly become friends. Not only did Bonnie finally make a real friend, she was able to be her authentic self again and reclaim her childhood in the process. In the wrong hands, Toy Story 5 could have felt really hypocritical. After all, this is the company that pioneered computer animation. So a movie that just comes to the conclusion that tech and devices are universally bad would have felt really hollow. Instead, what we got was a film that explores how the digital age makes it so much harder to be a kid, with a profound amount of empathy for all of the wonderful, weird, wildly creative kids out there who are just like Bonnie. Bonnie isn't Andy, and she shouldn't have to be. So to everyone out there saying that Bonnie is the real villain of the Toy Story franchise, or some dumb, edgy nonsense like that, grow up. But also, try to remember what it was like to be a kid. Until next time, I'm Chandler Darrow-Shay.
The song from Toy Story. The song from Toy Story. It's a story about some toys that come to life for a little
girl.
Blah, 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 yada, yada, toys. It's the song from Toy Story. You're watching Toy Story.